Purchase your tracks today.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Bride's Room. Yeah, it's wedding season. I don't know, wedding season. It should probably, by the time this comes out, wedding season will be coming to an end, I think. But yeah, welcome back. We've got the amazing Honey in the Bride's Room today. You know, by popular demand, request, what is it? All the DMs you lot been. So we, I brought her in. And Honey, welcome to the Bride's Room. I'm really happy to have you here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Girl, you did your thing with your wedding.
Thank
We
you.
saw that. Oh, y'all did your thing. Sorry, I need to acknowledge hubby. But before we get into it, just let everyone know, where can we find you? Who are you? When did you get married? All that good stuff. Just quick overview.
So I got married 28th of April 2023, so a few months ago, and had about a year and a month to plan my wedding with my husband. You can find me on Instagram at honey__, so it's 2 underscores, __OS. On TikTok, Love from Honey with an X at the end, because I'm going to start sharing a bit more about my wedding on TikTok soon. So yeah, that's where you can find me. And yeah, I think that's it.
I've had loads of people literally send me your wedding, please interview her, please. We want to know more. So, I had to invite you to the Bride's Room, and I'm so glad you said yes. How you feeling now that, wedding's out of the way and you're just living your best life? How does it feel?
I'm just enjoying my marriage.
I can see.
You know what? Because when you're planning the wedding, you're working towards the finish line.
Yeah.
And now that we've gotten past the finish line, we're just enjoying our lives.
Oh, and I love that for you. I love that for you. I love that for you guys. And it looks fun. And I can also say as well, it's quite fun on the other side as well.
You've got the experience, yeah.
It's also quite fun. But no, so yeah, tell me about your wedding process. Obviously, did you get married this year? Is my brain going fuzzy?
I did.
Was that this year?
Yes, April this year.
God,
yeah,
time has gone so quickly already.
4 months. Just
wow,
over 4 months.
It's only 4 months. Okay, so cool. So wow, let's talk
Let's
about
get
it.
into
Let's get
it.
into it. So you got married this year. When did you get engaged? Tell me everything. Tell me the whole thing.
Okay, so we got engaged 19th of March 2022.
Okay,
and then got married 28th of April 2023. So
Okay.
it was literally a year and a month of planning. The wedding planning process was a lot of things.
Okay, what does things mean? Let's elaborate on that.
So there's a lot to manage. That's everything from your emotions to the emotions of others, to your vendors, to the experience that you want your guests to have.
Yep.
To curveballs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different things to manage. So it was definitely a process.
Yeah.
Where I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about how my partner and I thrive under pressure. And I also learned about how people can behave when you're going through a significant moment in your life.
Yeah.
And although sometimes we hear a lot of horror stories, I had a lot of good experiences with people. So so it was a good process. But I learned a lot. And it was a hell of a journey.
And now you're on the other side and you're here to share the story. So let's get into that. So from okay, so you said that you've grown from that experience, right? So what was like the biggest learning curve, I guess, for you?
Biggest learning curve. Now, this is like something that I think all brides need to be cognizant of, and obviously take it with a pinch of salt. It has to be kind of dependent on how you operate as an individual and what your life is like and who the key stakeholders are in your life. Yeah. But don't negotiate too much. So I use this term, wedding stakeholders.
Okay.
So wedding stakeholders could be anybody.
Everybody, yeah.
It could be your guests, it could be your vendors, it could be the minister that's joining you, it could be your family, it could be your bridesmaids, it could be your groomsmen.
To add on to the wedding stakeholders, you call them? Yeah. I do feel like it is also just to add on top, because I also learned that as well in my process, to add on top. I do feel like sometimes it is harder because the biggest stake, depending on how much financial contribution someone is having, sometimes it's also harder to let them down. Maybe not let them down or say no to certain things. I found that hard, even though I still had to do it anyway because it's, ultimately it's my wedding, my day. But I found that hard as well, my process. I completely relate with you as well. But then you had an amazing wedding. So let's get straight into that, because I put up on my story yesterday on Instagram on the Bridezroomuk. If you're not following, make sure you follow. And yeah, the DMs have been coming through, and people have been asking. And I remember when your wedding, it went viral, child. Like we all saw that. Y'all did that. Y'all did that, and that was a really, really lovely wedding to see.
Thank you.
How did you find the day? Like, what was that like? Talk me through that as like a bride. Like, did your visions, did they come to life?
So the day was so surreal in the sense that when I woke up, obviously I was staying in a hotel.
Yeah.
And my room had been decorated the night before. So I was very alive to the fact that I was getting married.
Yeah.
But it also still didn't feel very real. It
feels insane.
It feels insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
However, as the day began to progress, and I remember when I first saw myself, in the mirror, I was like, oh my God, I look stunning. Exactly how I want to look. Because I had a very specific brief in my mind. I wanted to be timeless, classic, and regal. And if you ask any of my vendors that have anything to do, had anything to do with my aesthetic, they will tell you Honey's brief is classic, timeless, and regal. Honey must look back on these photos in 2055 and be happy about how she looks. So it was so nice on the morning to see myself and be like, this is actually how I envision myself to look.
Let's talk about it as well, because you brought the girls out. You had the best of the best from what I could see.
Yes, the best of the best.
How did you do that? How did you get them all under one roof from one day? Because that's tricky.
It is tricky. Do you know what? If I'm going to be very honest, I'm friends with a lot of,
I could tell,
makeup artists and hairstylists.
Yeah.
And some of them I told way before I even met Alex, like, you're going to be involved in the day.
Okay.
And in some cases, if you weren't going to be a vendor, you were going to be there as a guest anyway.
Yeah.
So, just reached out to all of the people that we wanted to use.
Yeah.
Some of my girls had, particular people that they wanted to use as well. But my brief for my bridesmaids was that I wanted them to look like brides. That's why they were white.
They look beautiful as well.
And I wanted them to look flawless.
Yeah. You have to send me pictures as well so that I can show people. Those that didn't see, I don't know who didn't, but those that didn't see, I'll put an insert picture because I saw as well. And their outfits as well were all uniform in colour, but then different styles as well.
Different styles.
You picked that, or that wasn't like an error or anything?
No error. Very intentional.
Yeah.
So I had 12 amazing bridesmaids. Yeah. And they all have completely different styles.
Yeah.
And I very rarely see bridal trains where all the bridesmaids feel incredible. And I really wanted my girls to feel and look incredible because I knew in advance that they were going to go hard for me.
Yeah.
So it was really important that they looked absolutely flawless on the day. So I said, everybody pick a style. So what happened was I told all of the bridesmaids to submit 3 styles to my chief bridesmaid.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I picked which one I wanted to see them in out of the 3.
Oh, wow.
And then they picked their hairstyles. I was just particular about colour. So I said everybody had to have black hair. So I wanted all of the photos to be really timeless.
Clean,
to be really clean. So I said everybody has to have black hair. Everybody has to have nude nails. And everybody had to have the jewelry that I picked out, and gold shoes. And then everything else I was really, really flexible on.
Okay.
Because I just wanted them to feel and look their best.
No, they did. They look really, they look comfortable. You can always tell as well when a bride hasn't been too stressful with the bridesmaids because they looked free. You know, everyone was like bouncing and flowing and, you know,
And that was the
happy.
vibe we
And
wanted,
so no, that looked really, really cool actually. And you don't see that quite often actually, which is quite nice. And I like that uniqueness, I guess, that you brought to your wedding.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just jumping from different things because there's so many
ahead.
things to dissect with the wedding. So then you got married at the Meridian Grand. And obviously, you know, Meridian Grand has been like that's like the Mayfair of, you know, black
weddings.
black weddings. But not only did you get married there, you actually used both rooms as well.
Yeah.
So talk me through that. Like why and how did you end up doing that? And obviously we've spoken to
Yeah. So with Meridian, when it came to looking for venues, our family members gave, you know, their suggestions of what they wanted to see. But my mum was particular about one thing. She wasn't particular about too much, but she was particular about one thing. She said everything had to be on the same site. She didn't want anybody traveling in between venues.
Okay.
So when she said that, that automatically eliminated a bunch of venues, especially because we had quite a large guest list. So when we went to Meridian, we saw that we could use one side at the church. Okay. So we literally flipped it into a church. It was decorated amazingly by our decorator, Victoria's. So turned that into the church, and the room that is more commonly used, the larger room, we use that for the reception, and then our after party, which was called Club on Cloud Kolawole, was back in the church room. So the church room got flipped into a club. Okay, so okay. Like, let me just get my head through that. Sorry. So you did it all in one place. You had the ceremony on the right. Mind you, because I know they have the two rooms upstairs. Yeah. So how many guests did you have for your ceremony? So we had
how many guests did you? Let's talk about the number and then we'll get back to the logistics.
Okay. So for the seated wedding breakfast, there were 620 guests. We did not
wedding breakfast.
Yeah. So for the wedding breakfast, there were 620 guests. And obviously a few extra tried to come through, but you know, to God be the glory. So you had 620 guests for the wedding breakfast. Now we didn't tell people, only certain individuals can come to the church. Because we just assumed not that many would come. I got the shock of my life
when they all came.
When I walked into the room, because I was behind a curtain before I walked down the aisle. I got the shock of my life when I saw literally dozens of people standing at the back.
Up,
so it was completely full. And I remember we put in about 340 seats into the church.
And that would bring out more.
And no, there was no space to bring out more.
Oh, yeah, because the smaller room is smaller, isn't it?
Exactly,
oh my God,
exactly.
Damn.
So, we had 620 for the wedding breakfast, and then, you know, quite a few came to the church.
Oh my God.
And then for the after party, so when we spoke with our security team, because we got a separate security team to that comes with Meridian Grand.
Yeah.
They said about 1,800 went in and out of the venue throughout the day.
1,800?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because you had two rooms.
Because we had two rooms.
Okay,
so the after party room, I remember our videographer got a shot of the after party room from a bird's eye view. And it was rammed.
I can imagine.
It was rammed. Yeah.
I can imagine.
Quite a few guests. Quite a few guests.
It sounds like a few.
Quite a few. Just tad. Just tad.
A bunch.
Just a few. The good thing about Meridian is you can have it for different amounts of time. So typically when people book it, when they book the room on the left, which accommodates about 650 people, depending on how you lay it out. Yeah. It's normally for a 4 p.m. start with 12 p.m. vendor access. Yeah. But my service started early afternoon, so our vendors got access at 6 a.m. So we almost had to have like a double booking, if that makes sense.
For the whole day, you doubled it up?
Yeah, so we had the venue from 6 a.m. to about 2:30 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so almost 24 hours.
Sorry.
Whole venue.
Those of us that no.
To God be the glory, okay?
Girl.
Girl. So,
oh my God.
And then the rooms upstairs, we still utilize them.
How?
So the larger room upstairs, so some people do their ceremony in that room.
Yeah.
We turned it into a photo room and a guillotine room.
Yeah,
there's nothing I hate more than walking into a venue and then you see the gillet and says, and look, you want to tie your gillet.
And they're just standing there.
So we were very particular about that not being the case. So all of our guests that were tying their gillets were done. Hello, do you want to tie? So
upstairs, please.
Upstairs, please. So they were directed upstairs to tie, and then they could take pictures there. So we had somebody decorate a vented decor.
Oh, nice.
Decorated the room so people could take
Yeah.
photos in there. And then later on in the evening, when we changed to Ashoke, which is like traditional Nigerian attire, we asked our photographer to bring a backdrop so we could get shots in front of it. So it's like very simple backdrop, kind of looks like a studio. But we really wanted like gorgeous, timeless,
that's the
traditional
theme, timeless.
photos.
I'm getting
Exactly.
I love a bride like because I feel like I was the same. To be fair, so I love me. Sorry, but when you literally repeat yourself so much that people have it stuck in their heads,
exactly.
And I'm getting that from you. Literally, keep saying the word timeless, timeless, timeless. So I would hope that everything came out.
Timeless. Yeah, no, I think it did. I think it did because every time when we look back on the photos, I'm just like, you know what?
Them.
I think I'm really going to be happy in 2055.
Yeah, 2055.
That's the benchmark.
It's a very particular year,
but you know, I think I'm going to be happy. I think Alex is going to be happy.
Yeah.
And all of the people that helped us bring the vision to life will be happy in 2055. I think.
Oh, amazing.
So that was the setup with the venue. And then the other room was used as a changing room for like our choir. So our choir bought Ashobi, so they wore English in the morning. So we asked them to wear like neutrals. And then they changed to Ashobi in that room.
Nice.
Some of our special girls changed in that room as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, you utilized the whole building.
The whole space.
Every corner. You said, I'm going to get my money's worth, child. Every corner, I'm going to get that.
Cost per use, okay? Every corner.
I love that for you. Okay, so so you had, the ceremony, you had the after party, you had so many bits to it. I'm going to go through the questions because there might be some questions that we might answer throughout. And if there's anything else, I might still ask after. So let me go through. So one of the questions that I got was that, you look like you're very in touch with your culture, but you still managed to you still chose to have a massive white wedding. How did you get away with doing that?
So yeah, Alex and I are really proud of being Yoruba, being Nigerian.
Yeah, I could see that.
If God gave me the option, I would always pick to be a Nigerian girl.
Yeah.
Yoruba to be precise. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Glory. And Alex is also very proud of his Yoruba heritage. So although we didn't have a traditional wedding, it was basically a white wedding with trad vibes.
Yeah,
so Ashobi for all of the guests. We wore traditional Ashoke at one point, and also in our pre-wedding shoot, we had a traditional look.
Yeah, that was
to
nice.
really help people understand that. It's
this,
trad
yeah,
vibes.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
trad
This
vibes.
is very Nigerian.
Trad vibes, exactly.
Yeah.
We had a live band. Our parents wore trad.
Yeah.
So that was our way of still kind of paying homage to our traditional culture, even though we didn't have a full-on Yoruba traditional ceremony. But it was still a great way to kind of pay homage to our amazing culture.
I love that. And I really like the Ashobi as well. How did you do that?
Ashobi, so quite interesting.
Very pretty,
we had
a different colour.
Yeah, so we had two different types. We had two different types of Ashobi per gender. Yeah.
Okay.
So the boys, the groomsmen wore teal. We call it atiku. Teal atiku.
Yeah.
And the general guests wore emerald green. Atiku.
Yeah.
For the women, so I have a lot of friendship groups, a lot of people that mean a lot to me, a lot of people that were running up and down, down and up. If I told them, walk to Brussels,
they would do it.
ABC up for me, they would pick it up.
Yeah.
And these were people that weren't part of my 12 bridesmaids, but it was still incredibly important to me.
Yeah.
So they were like my traditional bridesmaids, so I called them the special girls. And it was very important to recognize them for their amazing contribution, because it's nice on the day when people see people looking gorgeous in their 100 out of 10 Ashobi styles.
Yeah.
But they did so much for Alex and I behind closed doors. So it was really important to recognize them publicly for that. So they wore this Ashobi that was black, pink, so taken from what my side of the family was wearing. Blue, taken from what Alex's side of the family was wearing. And green, taken from what the general guests were wearing. So depending on what angle you were looking at them from, you would see like different hues and shades.
That's nice.
So and it was custom made. So both Ashobis, both types of Ashobi for the girls were custom made, because I didn't want to see
someone else using
not even that. I just didn't want to see something that I hadn't seen before. I wanted to see something completely different. So worked with VS Fabric House and Salonge Designs to create bespoke fabrics for our girls, and they looked literally 1,000,000 out of 10.
Well,
like,
once again, you send me some pictures.
I definitely will. And we gave them a very specific brief. So when we sent out our Ashobi, there was a note clipped to the bag telling them that the brief was who they breed. Who they breed.
Okay. And for those of us that don't understand, because what does that mean?
Who they breed.
Translate for us, please.
So how do you translate who they breed to English? slay,
Okay.
slay.
Okay. I love
Literally take people's breath away.
that. Okay.
That's what it literally
Okay.
meant.
All right.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm
so
with
we
you.
included a note with some HONEYYY gifts as well, just to say thank you, because we didn't want to give out favors on the day because we wouldn't have had the time.
Yeah.
So we sent out gifts and the note just to let people know what the brief was. And,
And
the girls
came
showed up and showed
through.
out. So did the gents.
We
They looked
saw.
100 out of 10. So
We
it was
saw.
really nice to see that all come together.
And so that's really nice. And I think that would be really helpful for people that have like a lot of friends, but then at the same time, you kind of want to be practical as well with like the bridal party.
Exactly.
So I think that's a really nice touch to your wedding.
Thank you.
I loved her wedding. A few questions. What made her have a big wedding? How did she feel about her wedding going viral? Did she mind? Do you have to be rich for a big wedding? Also, did she have a white Did she have a white and trad in one day?
Okay.
How was that for? Okay, there's a lot of questions. So let's
Should we
just
start with the
pause.
first
Let's
few?
just start with the first one.
So remind me of the first one.
So the first one, what made you have a big wedding?
What made me have a big wedding? So both Alex and I are the firstborns in our family.
Ah, makes sense now. Okay.
First to get married.
Oh, it's all coming together now, isn't it?
It's all coming together. It's all coming together.
Okay.
So obviously our families were super excited.
Yeah.
Like super excited.
I know.
And so many people played a significant role in our upbringing.
Yeah.
So it was important to recognize them, for them to be around. So our families just really wanted a large wedding.
Yeah.
And then also, although sometimes I don't like to admit it, Alex and I have a bit of a crowd ourselves. And when I say crowd, I'm not talking about people that just speak to like every then and again, like people that we speak to regularly that are also very keen to celebrate us. So all of that coupled together resulted in a fairly large event.
I think just large.
Just large.
Large wedding.
Yeah, so it resulted in a large wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So going on to that person's next set of questions, they then asked, so your wedding went viral. How did you feel about that? Did you expect it?
No.
I don't think anyone. Well, I hope not.
Yeah, because I didn't like. It's funny, the other day I went to go and do my hair and the hairstylist was telling me like some brides set out to go viral.
Yeah, no, someone was telling me that. We're sorry. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. You go.
No. That wasn't our intention. Our intention was just to do us. And from what I can gather, a lot of the things that made us go viral are things that it's the energy that we'd bring on a normal day. So anybody that knows me well knows I'm a sucker for details. Like, I remember at the beginning of the planning process, my matron of honor told me, she was like, okay, let's not get too bogged down on the specific details. Let's, think about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Not just the smaller details, but just on a normal day, if you come to our house and we host you and it's just one person coming, we're going to give you special details. So that came through during the course of like the wedding kind of playing out. How did we feel about it? No feelings. No feelings. No feelings.
Did you get a lot of questions?
Yes, we got a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So I remember one time I was doing a long journey and I said, just Q&A, like people ask me questions, and then all of the questions basically ended up being about the wedding. That was shocking, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that we had planned.
I think that's the best weddings from what I've seen, just as someone, like, because I just love weddings as a whole. Obviously, got a whole podcast, dedicated to this. So, I love it.
Yeah.
But I do think the wedding, I don't think anyone does plan to go viral, but I do think, like you said, when people are just unique, different, and you can just almost just feel the authenticness of the couple through whatever it is that's being shown online. I think that's what people really buy into as well, on top of the beauty as well. So I remember something that really stood out for me was like your decor from your wedding. Like you had like the circular, I don't even know, what do you actually call it? Like a podium? Was it a podium? Like this? I just thought that was just different. I was like, I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like you just following like the typical like wedding template. I feel like there's a template a lot of people follow as well.
Yes.
Boring. Come on, like
yes, I'm
give me something different.
Come on now. And just to that point, like we were so particular about doing things for us.
Yeah.
So for instance, we had an ice cream truck. Do you know why?
Oh, that's sick.
I like ice cream.
So you're gonna have an ice cream truck.
I was very upset that I didn't get the ice cream on the day.
Did you even see it?
I saw it, but I didn't eat it.
Oh, at least you saw it.
I saw the aunties grooving with their ice cream.
Yeah, at least you saw it.
I saw it, but like the ice cream van was there because I like ice cream,
Yeah.
not because it was a trendy thing to do,
I
you know.
But I think that's cool though.
So yeah, just like staying true to yourself. Like I think it's so important. Brides, do what works for you.
Amen
Don't
to that.
follow templates. Like it has to be a reflection of your personal style, what you like, especially because you're paying for it.
Yep.
You know, so you have to be happy with what you're releasing the funds to.
But can I also add as well, though, I do think some brides, so I have a friend that's getting married next year, 2024.
Okay.
And sometimes I do think, or a lot of the, okay, I don't know how often this happens, but I do find that some brides do want to be different.
Okay.
But then they have a planner that then just likes to stick to that boring wedding template, if you know what I mean. How, like, what is, as someone that is kind of like familiar with the industry, how do you advise people like that? Because it's hard. How do you explain to someone that I want to be different? Like I want monkeys flying from the sky. Like I want pigs to fly to. Like how do you do that? Because I do feel like a lot of, and that's one thing that actually put me off from getting a planner myself, was that I just felt like they just stick to this. It must be this way, then this way, then this way. Like,
okay,
how do you navigate that? Long story short.
So we actually planned our wedding ourselves.
I think that's always the best.
Yeah,
outcome, to be
we
honest.
planned our wedding ourselves. And our amazing, the amazing Zuri Events Management came in a few months, like January. So we got married in April. January came in January to just help kind of pull everything together and, you know, refine the details and everything.
Yeah.
I know my personality. Back in the day, I used to plan and coordinate weddings.
Oh, nice.
So this wasn't new territory for me. So I know that I have the ability to plan.
Makes, you should have said in the beginning then.
And Alex is super efficient. Like there's so many things that Alex can do in his sleep that he took on. My mum also, if she wanted to be a planner, she could be.
Yeah.
So we knew, we were kind of like the planning committee. We knew that we could do things quite easily. So that's why we didn't get a planner at the beginning. Now, for those who, obviously I can't speak from experience, but for those who got planners from day one, you need to go for planners who have a listening spirit. It's not about them executing their vision. It's about them bringing your vision to life. So, and this is something that is related to vendors, like selecting vendors in general. Does your spirit mesh with their spirit?
Yeah.
Girl. So
because I can speak on that all day, but yeah, you continue. Sorry.
Literally. We knew, well, I knew about 70 to 80% of our vendors beforehand. I'll give you an example. Victor Rose.
Okay.
I met at a wedding like 6 to 8 weeks after I got engaged.
Okay.
Didn't know who she was. Just started gisting with her. I think she told me she liked my dress. Started gisting with her. We were laughing. And because she was casually dressed, I knew she was a vendor, but I didn't know what vendor she was. I didn't even know her name at the time. So I said, so sis, what did you do here? And she was like, I said, that guy is sweet. What's your name? What's your name? And and funnily enough, one of my bridesmaids and I had discussed me reaching out to her.
Okay.
But the spirits gelled before I even knew what service she could provide. And I knew that she was going to go over and beyond to ensure, just because of the connection. So with vendors that you aren't familiar with previously, go off of the vibes. Does this person seem like they're listening?
Yeah.
Is this person listening to respond or listening to actually help me bring my vision to life? Is this person going to make my life easier? Is this person going to be calling my phone 20 times a day rather than calling my phone once a day?
Every 3 days.
And you need to trust your intuition. So go for planners who are going to enable you to go for the monkeys in the sky.
Yeah,
if that's what
literally.
you want. And if you've already selected a planner and you feel like they're trying to kind of encourage you to go for the more traditional routes, obviously I don't know who decides what tradition is in this context, but traditional routes, have a sit down with them and just be like, sis, bro, please, like, help me bring my vision to life.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, I would love to see, because this is my wedding. I'm the one that has to look at the photos. I'm the one that has to look at the videos. I'm the one that's going to have the memories. You're going to go on to do dozens of weddings later on. But please, can you focus on bringing my vision to life? And I think the planner will appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you find that they're not budging, you might have to change it up.
And it is what it is.
Yeah. And that's okay.
That's that. And that's
on
on Mary
that.
Had a
That's
Little
on that.
Lamb. All
That's
right,
on
well.
Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Well,
So,
right on then.
So yeah.
Next question.
But yeah.
No. There's nothing that you said that I don't agree with. I did all of that in my planning as well, to be fair. So next question is, do you have to be rich for a bigger wedding?
So One thing that's imperative to remember when you are hosting any large event, whether it's a birthday, you're taking your friends to Hutong for a birthday dinner,
Hutong, child.
whether you're going to do a wedding, you're planning your mum's 60th, whatever it is, you pay per head. When it comes to certain services. Catering, you pay per head. When we were calculating how many drinks were going to be bought, we had a very specific vision in mind. We were saying like 3 to 4 cans and 3 bottles of water per head
person,
for soft drinks, not even alcohol. So you always have to think per head.
Okay.
And the other variable that comes into play now is the caliber and the quality of your vendors. So there's some vendors who will do food for you at, I'm picking random figures here, but you'll get the gist of what I'm saying. There will be vendors out there that will do your food at £2 per head, and there'll be vendors that will do your food at £10 per head. Yeah. You have to decide who fits your spec and who fits your vision. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for some people, the £2 per head vendor might be completely fine. They might not bring you waiters that can speak in English.
Yeah, but they'll bring you waiters.
But they'll bring you waiters. Or they might not bring you waiters. They might tell you that,
you
know, they need support with serving the food. So you have to consider those sorts of variables. How much am I willing to pay per head? How much what kind of experiences do I want to give to my guests? Because there are large weddings out there that don't have the extras, the things that some people would say that they loved about a wedding. Some large weddings don't have those elements, and it doesn't mean that one wedding is better than the other. It's just more so about what kind of experience you want to give to your guests, and that's what dictates how much you spend. Now, the young lady or man who asked the question saying, you know, do you have to be rich? Rich means different things to different people. So I can't explicitly, it's very subjective. I can't explicitly answer that question because I don't know what they consider to be rich. But I think the key variables that the person needs to consider is, number one, how much am I willing to pay per head? You know, 2, what kind of experiences am I looking to give to my guests? Number 3, what kinds of vendors do I want to use? You know, the types of vendors we use were really, really important to us because vendors can make or break your day. By the grace of God, our vendors made our day. And I feel like, you know, it was I'm a woman of faith. Like we prayed about our vendors before we selected them. So, you know, it's really important to kind of think carefully about what vendors you want to use, and that dictates your price point. And you know what? If you start off saying you want an 1,000-man wedding and you do the figure crunching and it doesn't work, it's okay to scale it back. It's absolutely fine to scale it back.
I mean, hopefully you haven't sent out your invites yet, because then that's a very awkward.
That's another story.
So, you know, hopefully invites haven't gone out then yet.
Or the save the date.
You know,
because I've heard horror stories of save the date going out and then the person doesn't get an invite later.
Yeah, to be fair, I was that bride, you know. I'm not going to lie. No, I'm not going to lie. I was.
It's okay, babe. It's okay.
I was that bride. I was a bit excited and I was like, oh, but you didn't even respond anyway. I don't think you even want to come anyway. You didn't want to come anyway.
Yeah, people who don't respond don't need. They don't need an invite. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm feeling a bit better now. Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. I'm just trying to add my 2 pence to that. Do you have to be rich to have a big wedding? Yeah, you're right. It depends on the quality. Yeah. I do think in this economy though, and you're a 2024.
Cost of living.
Cost
of living.
You have to earn a certain amount.
Yes.
I don't think it's possible to have a big wedding. Because even like, okay, I'm going to stop talking, but yeah, that's it. Then move on to the next
What
question.
I will say though, in addition to that point is, one thing that's really important for brides and grooms and their stakeholders to remember, there is life after your wedding. There is life after your wedding.
What do you mean by that?
There is life after your wedding. Do not blow the bag.
Yeah.
And not have somewhere comfortable to live.
Yeah.
Do not blow the bag and not be able to go on your honeymoon like at least within 18 months after your wedding, if that is what you desire to do. Some people want to wait a couple of years, but if you desire to have that break, don't blow the bag and not have an opportunity to spend on the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
In addition to that, before you completely blow the bag on your guests, blow the bag on yourself.
That's what I was about,
Girl, blow the bag. One thing about me,
you finna treat yourself.
Don't get it twisted. Like,
Yeah.
spend on your guests and give them an amazing experience,
Yeah.
which we try to do.
Yeah.
But I was going to wear all the shoes that I wanted to wear.
Yeah. That part.
I was going to wear the bundles that I wanted to wear.
And that part.
I wasn't going to negotiate
That
on
part.
certain things. So make sure that you two have a rich experience during the course of your wedding. It's not just solely about your guests. The primary people to actually think about are yourself and your partner. So don't blow the bag on everything else and not have a place to live. Don't blow the bag on everybody else and not wear the shoes you want to wear. Don't blow the bag on everybody else and not have the holidays, the experiences that you want to have going forward, because like the actual journey begins once you leave the venue with your partner.
That part. But then again, it's me just being a bit messy here. But then sometimes as well, I do think, what if the person just wants to blow back and just be irresponsible? I mean, I do think a part of it should just be like, it's a very personal problem to the couple.
It is a personal problem to the couple. It is a personal, because we're not going to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not going to be there.
That's
you know,
y'all
between
and God.
you, yourself, and network. You should.
Y'all and God. But no, I agree. I do think it is important to at least just, just make sure your life is just,
exactly.
The night of the wedding, there is a home to go to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me wrap that part up. Okay. Cool. Okay, yeah. So someone said, oh, I loved her wedding. Please can you ask her about her experience with bridesmaids? Oh, lush, can't wait. Please can you ask how she managed to do 3 dresses in one day and how that impacted her missing out on some things in the actual wedding? Was it hectic doing the dress changes, makeup looks, changing jewelry, and the whole experience? How was she in each?
Okay. So with that, I'm gonna call them the aesthetics team, because they were my whole aesthetics team knew each other very well.
Okay.
Understood each other. Understood when to give the other person space. So in light of that, the changes were smooth. They were smooth. So I'll give you an example. Whilst my gala was being tied, Deborah Lola knew we were short on time. She started curling my hair. So I remember when I slid off the gala, I was like, okay, sis, please, can you... And she's like, I've already curled your hair.
Oh.
She was just like, let me just pin this. So it made the final change very easy. And I actually kind of had 3.5 looks, because my first look, the high neck part of my dress, you could take it out.
You can take that off. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so when Alex and I danced with my mom, I didn't have the cover up. I removed it.
Nice.
So all of those moments happened very quickly. So I remember as that was being removed, my makeup was being fixed. And we were very intentional about my makeup look. It was something that could be changed at ease very quickly. So not a lot needed to be done to my face throughout the day. And that's why it's really important to invest in good makeup artists who understand your vision and what you want to go for.
I was going to say, did you consult them on... Because obviously, I will say, though, you are one of the lucky brides, though, because obviously you have that relationship. So I would imagine if any of my girls were that talented as well, like, well, lucky days for me, But did you have to consult them and the question I'm kind of trying to ask is were you already clued up with makeup and stuff and how it already works?
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's easier to kind of know what to ask for.
Exactly.
Okay,
and
cool.
I was constantly telling them that brief. Classic, timeless, regal. Classic, timeless, regal.
Girl, one thing we learned from this episode is timeless, okay?
That's it. So they were very clear. And they knew how important it was to kind of have certain experiences and certain looks. And they knew about some of the shots that I really wanted to get as well. So yeah, it was quite simple. And then also my seamstress, shout out to Jerry Berry of Berry Hall. She basically got me into all of my looks very quickly and easily. Okay. And she knows my temperament. She knows if I'm, feeling a bit on edge. So she managed that very well. And to that point, if possible, all brides, I would encourage you to have white glove service. So that's typically when somebody comes to help you get into your dresses. They wear white gloves, obviously, when you're wearing a white dress, so they don't get anything on it. But that makes the process a lot easier, because imagine if you're trying to get into your corset, your friends are trying to get you in, but the snatch is not really snatching, or something happens. It's a lot more complex for you, and it puts you under a lot more pressure. So where possible, if you can secure white glove service, please do.
Okay.
But that definitely made it smoother. We did miss out on a few bits, but not too much of the wedding. Yeah.
But I think there's always give and take as well, isn't it? With wedding. Well, I mean, I feel like you're never going to get the 100%, but you can at least get 98.
Exactly.
Which sounds like you got maybe even a little bit more
Yeah.
98?
arguably,
98? Is that a good number?
Yeah, a bit.
Um,
I did want to speak about the bridesmaids part.
okay, let's talk
The
about
reason
it.
why is I feel like bridesmaids get a really bad rap quite often. And don't get twisted, like things do happen. Sometimes things are complex, but I actually had a really pleasant time with my bridesmaids.
Yeah.
The 12 that you saw did a great job. And I think what helped was, this would be my top tips to any brides that are preparing to like propose to their bridesmaids is, first of all, like make your bridesmaids feel special when you're asking. They are about to go over and beyond for you, so it's really important to like honor them in advance.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that they will do that you will never see or you will
Or
never
never
hear about.
Yeah.
So it's really important
Yeah.
to honor them, like make them feel special. The other thing is make it clear what the financial commitments are, because being a bridesmaid is like a huge financial contribution. So be clear about what the financial commitments are. And also as a bride, I think it's imperative you must cover at least one of your bridesmaids' costs. I covered quite a few of my bridesmaids' costs.
Yeah.
And that was because, like, first of all, we're in a cost of living crisis. Life goes on for other people as well. There's life
or
beyond your
is happening
wedding.
in parallel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really important. I think all brides should ideally cover some of the costs of their bridesmaids. And in addition to that, like, don't forget your thank yous and pleases. Like, it's really important to be pleasant. And then I think the last one that I would say is be clear on what roles you're giving to each of your bridesmaids.
Yeah.
So we had one bridesmaid who was a treasurer, one bridesmaid who was in charge of
I wanted
research.
to get into that treasurer thing. Sorry, you continue with like
I'll
different
touch on
roles.
it in a bit. One, two of my bridesmaids planned my bridal shower, and I knew that they were both going to be pregnant at the same time. So I thought, you know what? This is a chance for them to support each other. And it worked so well together. So, giving people very specific roles. So there's no confusion. Because when you create room for confusion to reign, that's when problems start. So like giving people kind of clear roles is really important. And one of the clear roles that I'll speak about is the treasury piece. So one thing that I really wanted to do is spread out the financial commitment of the bridesmaids. So I gave them a figure that I wanted them to contribute to a central pot every single month, and the treasurer would manage that. She would chase people or, nudge people if, they needed reminders on payments. If people needed to pause, they could, let her know, let me know. And in addition to that, she paid all of the vendors that were related to the bridesmaids. So it's very seamless. So there's no, but you said that this payment was made. The person said that they didn't find it. Everything went through
or
her.
this person forked up and then this one didn't pay them back.
Exactly. So that made the process a lot smoother for, every work stream lead.
No, I think that's amazing. How did you come up with that? Is that something that you saw?
So I did
like
it so I came up with it when 2019, like a bunch of my friends got married and I was a bridesmaid in every single one. And I kind of set up the process for a few of my different friends because I just thought, we have to spread it out. It's expensive being a bridesmaid, especially because, the costs that we broke down, those don't include the hen. They don't include the bridal shower. My bridal shower was large.
I can imagine.
My bridesmaids covered the whole cost of it. So, thinking about all of those costs and spreading it out, you have to be considerate of people's pockets. So if you spread it out, that enables
I love
them
that.
to kind of
I think that's definitely something that if anyone takes away from this, especially if you're new and you're like clueless, like how I was, I think that's a really good piece of advice for someone that is about to be a bridesmaid or someone that is even a bride and about to pick bridesmaids as well. Just if you don't mind me asking, because you're very like on the ball with it, which is really, really good. But I think that's really, I think that would save a lot of girls a lot of arguments, to be honest. That would save a lot of friendships.
Literally, because you can't ask today, so it's 180.
I'm not talking to that one.
Tomorrow, Aisha, tomorrow, bundles, spread it out,
But it's hard to, I guess it's also as well, though, sometimes we're not fortunate enough to have that foresight as well. So how did you know that figure was going to be enough for the bridesmaids? Is it because of your experience as a bridesmaid?
My experience and my chief bridesmaid and matron of honor and treasurer, they were inquiring, they were getting the quotes. They were getting the quotes. And then some of it was also based off of my own personal experience. Some things were miscalculated, because sometimes you can't tell until the time comes. But, where there were gaps, I plugged the gaps. Because
you just
I wanted to be considerate. Not even about not wanting the wahala, like, I've told you this is what the figure is going to be. So I'd rather not change that, especially because that figure excluded my hen and it excluded my bridal shower. So and I know they were expensive. I don't know the exact figure.
But you can see it's costing.
Exactly.
Looking around. All right, cool. Well, okay, so we're rounding up. Okay, cool. So I guess we're going to have to bring this episode to an end. I really, really enjoyed this episode. I think To be honest, I felt like a student today. I've just been sitting down and listening and actually learning. And there's a lot of things that you've actually said today that, like, if I could go back in time, maybe I would have done. But I do hope that anyone that is watching this episode, I hope that there's a lot of takeaways. But before we round up, please, like, what would be your key pieces of advice to anyone listening today, brides, groom, anyone really that's part of a wedding planning process?
I think my key point would be remember there is life after your wedding, and let that guide you when it comes to picking your looks. How will you feel when certain things aren't trendy anymore? Will you still like the way you looked? And that's why you've got to think about life after the wedding. Will I like the way I look 20, 30, 40 years down the line? Number two, be considerate and be pleasant in your interactions with all of your wedding stakeholders, so your vendors, your bridal train, your guests. Be considerate, because after the wedding, you deal with the repercussions of your behavior.
They will never forget.
So, be cognizant of that. In addition to that, when I say there's life after the wedding, don't go for things because you saw them on TikTok and Instagram. It has to be a reflection of your personal desires and style. Don't go and pick... I'm just going to pick something random here. Don't go and pick an ice cream van because you saw it. If you know you don't like ice cream anyway.
We're doing that, yeah.
It's an unnecessary waste of money. So go for things that are very, very important to you. And then lastly, I would say, if you're really big on looking at your memories quite quickly after the wedding, make sure you get a wedding content creator. Because I had one of those, and that made a huge difference to, like, the experience after the wedding, like just seeing so many different things that we might not have had a chance to interact with a lot on the day.
Oh, I love that for you. So, no, that's amazing. It's a shame we didn't get any more, but I'm sure there'll probably be more questions. There's been loads of questions about your wedding, and I'm hoping as well that you've been able to answer the question for the girlies, because they've been like, get her. So, yeah, thank you once again for coming. I really appreciate it. And guys, once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Bride's Room. Don't forget to do what you need to do. You need to follow, you need to subscribe, you need to, what else? Like, all of that good stuff. Comment, all that good stuff. But yeah, until next time, bye guys. See you. Bye.